Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the little bell notification so you're made aware of any time we put any new videos up. And we've got loads of guests coming up, loads of great guests, including today. Probably the best way to describe him is, I don't know, West Ham, YouTube, sensation, royalty, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, West Ham YouTube would probably do.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. You're taking the time to talk to me. So, how obviously Gonzo. He obviously him and Geo do the Hammers Chat YouTube channel, 12,000 subscribers, near enough. 11 over 100 videos. Yeah, he is over 1,000 videos on the main channel, 600 plus 700 something on the others.
You've done your research.
Of course I do. I don't just throw this together. It's Gonzo, by the way, the man who's only known by one name. How you doing, Gonzo? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not so bad at all. The irony is it's not even my name. How about that?
Well, there we go. It's you like Prince, you just have one name, so it's like.
Yeah, maybe I'll change my my name to a squiggle or a scribble. A bit of Crayola, an X. There you go.
Exactly, just an X on the line. So Gonzo, basically, what we're doing is obviously interviewing lots of different people, all different ages, all over the world now. We've interviewed some from over the world now, so we can say that about their West Ham memories. Because obviously, at this time we haven't got any live West Ham football to make new memories. So it's quite cathartic and quite nice to look back rather than think about what could happen, in the next month, 6 weeks, 2 months, who knows.
Yeah. Well, that's all I do every day. So I've actually not done any looking back.
Well, there we go.
Funny enough, myself and Gio recorded a video over the last day.
Yeah.
At Upton Park. We recorded it just last night, and I've been editing it today. But that's the first time we've really cast our mind back. So we have been trying to look forward to, and it is quite bleak and uncertain. So yeah, I'm quite in terms of history, West Ham history, I'm quite fresh because I've not been talking about it for the past 2 months.
Well, there we go, exactly. And so I thought it'd be a bit nice, a bit of a break from sort of your daily vids about what's going to happen and how many masks we got to wear and we can't spit at people or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, Gonzo, obviously looking back, West Ham memories. Can you remember sort of the first earliest memory of West Ham for you?
First earliest memory of West Ham, as I big extended family, and so my stepfather's family are all Irish. My stepfather's my stepfather from when I was, it's my father really, since I was 4, 5, something like that, and he had a massive extended Irish family. And we lived in Ilford at the time. We used to go down to something called the Club. We called it the Club. It was the Irish club. It was a club for Irish immigrants. I didn't particularly know any different. It was just the club. Yeah. And they were all West Ham fans. So everyone had sort of come over from Ireland. And because they were there, they were in Ilford and Barking, which is where everyone lived and where we lived and grandparents lived and whatnot. West Ham was the team. Yeah. So I think probably my earliest memory is just everybody talking about West Ham. Everybody being in kits, and then being aware that some players who I didn't know at the time, some players had come down the club, and everyone being very, very excited. The club seemed to get excited by 3 things actually, which was West Ham players, Barry McGuigan, or the Pope. Would be the 3 things. So there would be, because there was a visit. There was a palpable visit at the time, not around that time. Pope John Paul II had come over. So yeah, it was just interesting, but it was West Ham mad, absolutely West Ham mad.
So you didn't have a chance, really. You were sort of flung into it from an incredibly young age.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they were everywhere because I was at school in the area. The players used to come down quite a lot. Yeah. So, and I used to bring the FA Cup and things like that when we used to have trophies. So many. Billy Bonds was often around. Geoff Hurst used to come down. Trevor Brooking all the time. I mean, it's funny. I think about it now, and I've got kids in school. The concept of a player coming into a school was weird. It just never really happened, and but it happened all the time then. I mean, all the time. I don't know how many times I had my picture taken with the FA Cup or with Ray Stewart or, as I say, with any of these people. All the way through. So they were a big part of the community at the time.
Yeah.
And at that particular time, that area was producing some serious sportsmen. Graham Gooch was possibly the best batsman in the world at the time. Because I went to school after that. I went to school in Gantsill at Valentine's, and obviously Essex played in Valentine's Park. You had Steve Davis, who was from Romford, winning absolutely everything. Frank Bruno was on the way to becoming world champion. Couple of doors down from me, Nigel Benn lived, and Nigel Benn's mum lived, and he went to Loxford School. So he was always in the community. Paul Innsford, of course, was his cousin. This is obviously getting a little bit older than the initial earliest memories, but there was clearly something in the water. In sort of in East London, going on toward Essex, and I know I'm missing out on a lot of other. Akabusi, of course. The funny thing about Akabusi is he comes and have videos now. I've met Akabusi. I've got probably 4 or 5 different photos of me and Akabusi from me being a child, a really small child, because that was my sport, athletics. I used to run. Yes, I mean, people that went on to win world titles, gold medals, all of this stuff. Crazy place for sport, really.
Yeah. And you said sort of just having sort of, sports people turn up. It's like nowadays, if a West Ham player or someone turns up, it's a big sort of PR media frenzy, isn't it? It's like there's YouTube clips and website stuff. It's just, in your area, it was just like, just normal. And
they seemed more normal as well.
No, I get that.
My cousin bought his first car, which was a gold Ford Escort Gear. And he bought it. It was a second-hand car, and he bought it off of Geoff Hurst.
Wow.
So to put that into context, Geoff Hurst, the best English striker of, or whatever. I know people won't say, but for us, I don't need to list his accolades, right? Geoff Hurst. Right? It was driving a Ford Escort Gear, right? These were not multi-millionaires, and he sold it second-hand. It was funny, and my cousin didn't know. He went round there to go and buy the car because he'd seen the listing in the paper.
Brilliant.
It's Geoff Hurst. Imagine a West Ham fan turning up to buy a car. It's Geoff Hurst. Signed all the documents over. Yeah, I mean, they weren't these untouchable people living in penthouse apartments and all the rest of it. You would see one on a bus. It was different times, really.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree with that. It's probably I reckon maybe sort of the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. That's when it seemed to change. I was thinking probably the last era where everyone was a bit more approachable was probably around sort of Moncur, Bish, that era, it seems. And then because you would see him in Sainsbury's. I lived in Loughton, I live in Hornchurch now, so you would see him walking around.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays you wouldn't. No, so you wouldn't see him walking around. Basically,
well, I probably won't go to Sainsbury's. No one goes to Sainsbury's anymore. No. Not unless you're dressed up like Darth Vader.
Exactly.
It's funny and a shame. And I mean, what was quite indicative of it. If you remember Upton Park, was there was very. Definitely remember there being a shift between you asking someone for an autograph. And I'm not talking about selfies. If you were lucky enough to have someone with a camera, you wouldn't do that with a camera, would you? You'd say to somebody else, "Can you take my?" I still don't know why that doesn't happen now. Why more people don't say, "Look, rather than me doing some squinty thing at arm's length,
exactly.
Can you take a picture of me and said celebrity?"
Yes.
Anyway, there was very much. I don't know when it was, but I very much remember everybody having their arm round and, there you go, picture of Alan Devonshire, blah, 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 this, that, or the other. And then all of a sudden there was these railings. Yeah. And actually it was then a stretched arm for an autograph through the railings. If you wouldn't mind signing this, please, Mr. Defoe. It sort of, it changed, and that was quite indicative of the movement away that the players made away from the fans.
Yeah, I remember we used to do the open fans training, didn't we? So you sort of where the people could go and watch them. And it was one year, I remember, I think it was absolutely pissing it down. And Sam made them sort of open up the top tier of the centenary. So they couldn't even they were stuck on the top tier, and it was absolutely piss it down, and I was like, oh, that sort of wasn't great. We weren't playing very well at the time as well. I think that's part of the reason. But yeah, no, it's and I think, you know, you see that with some people as well. Definitely, I think definitely sort of for me, it was always more the African-based players. So Kouyaté and Sacco and people like that. And even Alex Song, they would spend so much more time with the kids and like getting things signed and stuff like that. And yeah, as you said, it's just
you met Kouyaté, obviously.
Yeah. Lovely guy.
Was he just boss? Always boss.
Yeah.
No boss. You know, yeah, very humble. I think there's a lot of them, as you say, particularly African players. I think because they had nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it is almost like the poverty that there might have been in the 70s. You know, obviously because Britain was skin after the war. How much you heard about? You know, it was decimated really, and people didn't have much money at all. I think rationing only stopped, you know, in the sort of mid-50s, and so. I think there was a large part of that. So I think a lot of the footballers that came through in the 70s and the 80s did come from skint families. That was their way through. And I think a lot of the African players, they're mirroring that. They've had absolutely nothing. So they've not been told from the age of 13, 14 academy that they're wonderful and they're going to be millionaires and you've got to, and your media training. They're just blokes, basically.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. I remember. I first time I met Sacco and Kouyaté. It was when we played, because I had to do the announcing. It was one of the Europa League. You know, we had those qualifiers, and we played the guys. I can't remember who it was, but they were sponsored by McDonald's, and they had a striker, former Italian international striker up front, who was a bit like me. He was quite a big lad, and they were laughing, and so I sort of put up on Wikipedia. He's like played for like Inter Milan. It's going to really annoy me now. Someone will definitely comment on the video and know exactly who it was, and they were lovely guys. As you said, I think it's because they came from nothing and they had so much more appreciation. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about your Hammers 11, Gonzo. You know, so the idea of this idea is it's firstly it's a 4-4-2 if we can keep it to that.
Yes.
Secondly, you have to be in live to see them play. So obviously, I can't put in Geoff Hurst. I can put in Guillermo Franco, for example. Seems a fair swap. I try and get more obscure.
If you wish. Yeah.
Or Ilan. Do you remember Ilan? He was good on Nene.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
Vaguely.
If he's in, are you doing one, by the way?
I did the first. I did my first one, and then I do like on a Sunday. We do Sunday Fun Day. I do a little jokey one where I pick like people who've only scored one goal for West Ham or something like that. And the last one it's your 11 gone, so you can talk about whoever you want. It doesn't have to be the best players. It could be your fans' favourite players, or I've got people talking soon about the players they shouted at the most on the terraces. So there's loads of sort of, it's just sort of quite cathartic to get it off your chest and talk about these players, whether you liked them or not. So that's what we're doing. So it's quite simple. So for the Gonzo 11, who will we have between the sticks? Who's going to be your pillar?
Well, it won't start as it means to go on, because when you sent me the initial message and I read through it, and I thought, and you. Have you declared to everybody how many videos you intend to do?
Yeah.
Okay, you've been quite forthright. Okay, so when you told me you were going to do 500 video, I almost spat me cornflakes out.
Yeah.
As you know, because I replied back to you.
Yeah.
And good luck to you on that. I thought, wow, okay, if everyone's doing their 11, I think you're going to get a lot of similar 11.
Yes.
So I'm glad you've quantified it because I've not picked the best 11.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
but the goalkeeper, who is Phil Parkes, will make it sound as if I haven't. And the funny thing is, Phil Parkes, whilst I said my stepfather was West Ham, my dad was QPR, but he wasn't really into football. So my older brother is also QPR. So I've probably been to QPR. Well, I don't know, 10, 15 times in my life. So obviously I've got a soft spot for QPR. West Ham signing Phil Parkes. My brother still talks about it now. Put it that way. He's still got the ump, right? That's how you hold a grudge, by the way. He's still got the ump about that. And I look at it now, and not only was Phil Parkes the best goalkeeper we ever had, and we've had some good goalkeepers, right? haven't we just? You know,
Yeah.
Rob Greaves was really good.
Yeah,
David James, I know Calamity James and all that, but he was good. Hislop was good. McCloskey, of course, you know. We got a really good goalkeeper now.
Yeah.
And we've had some that are not so good. I won't name. I'm sure they'll be in that. Somebody will have the goalkeeper I'm thinking of in the team they want to shout at.
Yeah.
But Phil Parks, world record, and for us to spend that a world record on a goalkeeper, was really something else. And my very good friend Canning Town Len, as if you haven't been and watched his film,
he's great. I
team.
interviewed him yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
He's a naughty boy, isn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his interviews with Phil Parks were just so good, and obviously he cut some of the footage and put some of the footage in. But some of it ended up on the cutting room floor as well.
I can imagine.
Great stories. Great guy. My first ever autograph, by the way. Wow, which sorry, it's such a mess in here. I should have had it really to show you. But I've actually, I've got him and as many people as I could to sign my first ever game, which was the 10-0 against Bury. But what a great player. And I think it's quite funny actually, because when you're younger and you look at these players, when you're a child, particularly a goalkeeper. So if you're a little kid, he's just massive. He's a big guy anyway, But Phil Parks was massive. I remember looking, wow. And I'll never forget that I met, here's something for you, Phil Parks and Darth Vader on the same day.
Not the same time, because you've never seen him in the same place. So.
You never see him in the same place. But was it Dave Prowse, wasn't it, who played Darth Vader? He was the Jolly Green Giant and a Green Cross Code man.
Yeah.
He was, believe it or not, signing autographs in the full clobber in Bodgers in Ilford. And later on that day, Phil Parks was in there doing a signing as well. So we
just hung about.
But we didn't see them together. You're right. Maybe Phil Parks was the Dark Lord, and Luke Skywalker's father. You'd probably not heard that line before.
No,
but a fantastic player, a real idol of mine. Particularly, don't seem to understand much about the art of goalkeeping. Goalkeepers themselves, and it is a strange one for a child to idolise, because we all want to score goals, don't we? We all dream of being
of course,
the striker for West Ham, or the top goal scorer for England, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, Phil Parks gets the nod between the sticks.
Okay, we'll put Parks in. Let's go for left back then, Gonzo. Who we got left back?
This is good. It gets more obscure later on, by the way. Okay. These are going to seem like tap-ins at the moment. I've got to go for Julian Dix.
Yep.
And in my quest to think of my team, I was trying to, for the reasons I said before, think a little bit left of field, no pun intended. But you can't get past Dixie.
No.
And no one could.
No. Literally.
It's really funny because when I look at it now, there are a lot of people that laud Dixie that haven't seen him play, because age is a funny thing, it creeps up on you and then goes past you, and then you realise that a film that you think's quite cool and that everyone should watch was 20 years ago and stuff like that. Well, right, okay, well, perhaps you haven't seen this film, and of course everyone knows. So West Ham fans at the moment, more recent ones, know Julian Dix the legend, but probably didn't see the real version of Julian Dix play. But there's enough. It's not like trying to scrape through for decent footage of Alan Devonshire, right?
No,
there is enough there of Julian Dix for people to appreciate. But I think if you were looking at a player like Ronaldinho, then the highlights would do him justice. What's Ronaldinho all about? Well, his flamboyance and flair and tricks. There'll be enough montages out there where you can see all of Ronaldinho's greatest tricks and his greatest goals, and it will be reflective of who he was as a player. I don't think footage does that for Julian Dix, because I don't think the footage really reflects what he gave on the pitch. Quite how fearsome he was, quite how players would turn away from him and sort of duck and and scurry off.
Yeah.
And the really funny was not a big guy.
No.
Not a big guy, but some obviously you're sporting a similar look there, Russ. But something about the shaved bonds and the grimaced stare and all the rest of it, and the way he played, which would just be to take people out and the drive forward and that will to win. And I often discuss a lot of our videos about lack of leaders in today's game.
Yeah.
And he really was. He led by example. And the goal threat he used to give us. And we were blessed. We were blessed, before that, not so much in recent times, funny enough, with some fullbacks could score. But that wasn't one of those times. And, it would not be unusual to go into a game and think, well, Dixie will score here. Or,
yeah. Could be
really was one of those players, and not the only one. There's another one in my team that should have played for England, and maybe he was a little bit unlucky in that sense. But I do feel he was better than the other people that were around at the time. I know Winterburn played for us and the rest of it. I don't know how big. I don't think Winterburn got many caps, did he? I'm not so sure, but I certainly...
No, I don't think so. And obviously, famously, was it when we playing the 96 stuff at the moment? That was the one that everyone thought was going to be his one, wasn't it? And there was obviously, he had a skinhead, so he wasn't going to be picked and rubbish like that. Because obviously it was, and in hindsight, it's a great thing. Julian would have probably taken one of those penalties.
Yes.
And who knows? But no, I agree. And he was. There's not many fullbacks who can control a crowd and can control a game like Julian did.
That's a huge thing, though, isn't it? What you say there, to be able to interact with a crowd, to be able to lift a crowd, and it's a massive thing. You see, I know he gets a lot of stick. I know it's the West Ham thing and all the rest of it, but you look at Klopp manages.
Yeah.
Klopp manages the crowd as well, and it's quite, obviously that's the manager doing it. If you can get players there who can, it's quite funny actually. I went and watched the tangent again. When watching the Ashes 3 or 4 years ago, and Joe Root was there, and you wouldn't think it on in a cricket pitch, but Joe Root was controlling the crowd. He was getting the crowd to sit. I was watching, thinking, wow, this is really impressive.
Yeah.
And those are just, no one's teaching you that. And the stuff that Dixie had, he could control a ball. He could tackle. Boy, could he tackle. Some of it was a bit naughty. Maybe some of it would say he couldn't tackle. He could kick a ball really, really hard as well. And I think it's anyone that's ever spent any time with any professional footballers, they strike the ball differently. There's a power, there's a precision, there's a purchase that the rest of us who have kicked a ball around in the park can only dream of. The way it pings off the foot with that accuracy, and I don't know how many miles per hour more they kick the ball than the less than average man, let's say. I don't know, but he had those skills. He could do that, but then he had that intangible skill of, as you say, controlling the crowd and controlling his teammate and dictating parts of the game. Which I think, if you're a manager, to have those players that you can rely on to that extent, as long as he's not getting sent off. It's probably a way, because you probably think, well, I don't have to worry about the area of the pitch. I can concentrate on giving instructions to other people. Great player.
No, great player. No, agreed. Julian's in. Right. Who's going to go on the right back position then, Gonzo?
Okay. I said I'm going to do. It's a little bit different though, but I've got to get him in.
Don't be silly.
I've got to put Billy Bonds in here. And I know. Hold on. Right back. Yes. Yeah. Right back, okay. Swashbuckling central midfielder, really good centre half, by the way. Really, really good centre half. He was like a god, really. That you heard all the stories about him training and stuff like that. He could just outrun anybody. In the pre-season, they'd used to do all these runs along the beach and up and down the steps, and he would just keep going. The man was a machine, and from before an era where you could actually plug someone in and test what it is about them, the bleep test, all of this stuff. He had he had a hell of an engine, and a good footballer as well. Again, and this is what I was talking about. Julia Dick should play for England. Billy Bonds really should have played for England. And it's easy to say this, right, as a West Ham fan. But if that was the case, with that bias, we'd say it about everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
Aaron Cresswell, we should play for England. Well, we don't say that. Do you know what I mean? Because we're sensible. We're sensible with it. Billy Bonds was a fantastic player. Another player with immense drive. And a will to succeed, and I think that you've got to have that in your football team, and the teams that don't have that are gonna struggle. And there's other players that are more of a shoe-in at right back, but I couldn't put him in midfield because I tried to keep it a little bit quirky and people that I was maybe wide-eyed at. But without sounding, do you know what it sounds? It sounds how it sounds. I'll tell you, as a kid, right, I remember sat there, right, at the front at the North Bank, and when he would run around, and just how muscly he was. Like his legs were like tree trunks, and this tall, massive geezer with this long hair, and it's funny how you remember. I remember it being blonde. You know what I mean? But wow, you know, you look at him and it's grown men going crunch, 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 and then running and a desire to win, and then the talking. I always remember him talking constantly, his head turned, talking to everyone, which is quite funny because he's a quiet man.
Quiet man, yeah.
And a humble man. But almost like a prize fighter that does all his work for charity and is a peaceful man and a loving man and loves his family there, but he gets between the ropes
and just as an animal,
punching someone in the face.
But Julian was like that as well. Very, you know, he's obviously very, very nice. You know, you speak to him and very polite and very, you know, what basically said. But when they cross that line, that's it. And I think Bonzo is similar to what you're saying about Julian. The younger age group know he's a legend.
Yes.
But don't know why he's a legend. And again, you would say, same thing about getting clips and video clips and stuff like that. You wouldn't necessarily see it in a highlights package, but you obviously saw him live. You could see him in all glory, if that makes sense.
It's absolutely right, and it's not that you don't listen to people when they say it. I understand that Jimmy Greaves may well have been the most talented striker that anyone's ever seen. I understand the concept.
Yeah,
I understand the story. But I never saw it.
No.
Okay, what you telling me? Jimmy Greaves is more talented than Alan Shearer. Okay, I get it. You know, whatever, and so on. Than Robbie Fowler, than this, that, and Michael Owen, whoever pick your striker. Okay, fine. But I didn't see him, so no. It's a bit of history. I've heard your story. I haven't seen it. But it's not my. And obviously, I'm not saying he was at his best at West Ham. Obviously, I know he wasn't. But yeah, you know. So yeah, these are. You try and just tell the younger generation that this is why.
Yeah.
And he was a force of nature. I think that would be the way to describe Billy Bonds, a force of nature. But don't let it be said that people think so much of that he was just a workhorse. He's very, very talented footballer. You can't play in 3 different positions and not be.
No, exactly. And that's the idea, part of the reason of this channel, Gonzo, is for that exact reason, because people like you have got first-hand experience of seeing someone like Billy Bonds and seeing someone like Phil Parkes. I didn't see Billy Bonds play. I didn't see Phil Parkes. So they're not in my 11. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's good. So you sort of, and particularly even people sort of, you know, further, I was not going to say older, but further on their age, you know, who saw Bobby Moore play and saw, you know, Roddy Boyce and people like that. So it's really sort of nice categorizing and sort of, you know, recording all these sort of memories of different players. Right. Okay. So put Bonzo on the right back position. Who are we going to have in the centre backs then, Gonz?
Shoe-in for me, Alvin Martin.
Yeah.
It just was there all the time. It seemed to be all the time. I wouldn't be surprised he's still there now. Somebody that came from a totally different environment, a totally different part of the country, a different culture. I've said this about James Collins. James Collins is a Welsh Cockney. James Collins come from Wales and he just got it. West Ham, he just got it.
Yeah.
I understand this. Alvin Martin was exactly the same. He came down and he embraced it. And in a sort of the way you would always want to. I always like to think, if I emigrated to a different country, I would immerse myself in their culture, learn their language, and and I think he came down and he did that, and he became Mr. West Ham and remains Mr. West Ham. And the way he was, again, watch Len's film, the way he came in, and he was very much under the tutelage of John Lyall. He was aware of all the legends that were around him. To see people like Brooking, to be aware of Bobby Moore and all that stuff. And I don't know how many people. It's a label, isn't it? Such and such is the next George Best at Man United or something like that. It must weigh heavily on a player. And we've had a few next Bobby Moores, but he would have been the first. Alvin Martin, and it's obviously it's unfair on anybody. And I was lucky enough. Again, they must have been. These players couldn't have earned that much money, because in the summer holidays I went to the Alvin Martin soccer school.
Soccer school, yeah, I can imagine.
Which was at Wanstead Leisure Centre.
Oh, bless.
And I ran for the whole week, and I came third, by the way, which was wonderful. And we all got a ball, and we all got such and such. But and he wasn't there for every single day. And
came the last day with the presentation.
But again, it wasn't a case of, well, he's my hero, because he'd already been to the school. This was exactly what I was talking about. But he was an elegant player, and a classy centre half. Obviously, did play for England, of course. I can't really think of too many like him now. But it was a period when he was playing alongside Tony Gale as well. And I thought that was a really nice blend, And he's a Scouser, but he is an Eastender also, Alvin.
Well, it shows you when he's been retired how many years, and he still lives around here. Obviously his sons and his other son runs a soccer school as well, I believe. So,
does he?
Yeah. So I think
I might chance my arm,
turn up and see what happens. But no, he does. I know he was at our I think his grandson's in my daughter's year at school, and he turned up and did some goal stuff at the school fete, and that shows that it's part, as you said, he gets it, and like instead of Ginger, he gets it, doesn't he? He gets what it is to be sort of part of the community at West Ham and be still associated with that community. How many more years on than he's technically hung up his boots? So Alv, okay, sounds great. Who are we going to partner Alv then, Gonzo?
The next Bobby Moore, or one of them, and so I'm going to say a little bit more into the future. That's what I'm talking about. Someone turns around and says, it's 20 years ago, mate, or whatever. Is Rio.
Yeah.
Who was Harry Redknapp, brought him through. And as the story goes, Harry's dad used to come and watch a lot of the games. And watch a lot of the youth games. And Harry's dad said to Harry, who's that lad playing the youth team, playing in central midfield? And that's what alerted Harry to him. Harry went and had a look, and it was Rio. And then he put Rio back. The rest is history. Went to play at centre back, and I never forget him playing really well against Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
And Alan Hansen on Match of the Day was analysing it. I remember thinking, oh, no. He was saying, well, this kid's really good. Look at the way he's reading the game. He seems to have it all. He seems to be able to pass. He's got good technique. He's fast. And so on and so forth. Oh, no. You could see what was coming.
Yeah.
Sol Campbell, who he partnered. Sol Campbell was a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
And obviously had a really good career. But Sol Campbell's highlight reel would have been a lot of last gasp sliding tackles to recover it, and using his strength and using his pace, and a good player. Rio was never in that trouble. Rio never had to make the last gasp sliding thing because he was generally stood in the right position anyway.
Yeah.
He had pace if he needed to use it. Generally, he didn't. Story of Ian Wright, actually, talking about training with Rio. And Ian Wright said that they used to run lots of one-on-one drills. He said you couldn't get past him. You couldn't get past him on a one-on-one. Because he'd sort of know which way you were going to turn, and even if you tried to accelerate, he would be as quick as you anyway. My only, bearing in mind you accept at West Ham, in recent years at least, that players are going to leave, my only regret with Rio was that he didn't go on to fulfil his potential. Ridiculous, right? Because he didn't, because he played for England and he won the Champions League and league titles and so on and so forth. A wonderful, show us your medals. Well, Rio's got lots of them.
Yeah.
But when he was coming through, it was Bobby Moore, Franz Beckenbauer, and Franco Baresi, for people that remember him. We are talking cultured players who bring the ball out from the back and make the additional midfielder. He was that skillful. And whilst I would never be so ridiculous as to say Sir Alex Ferguson was a bad coach and played defensive football, he very much wanted him to stay at centre half, which, much like Joe Cole, by the way, because of that, the way Joe Cole got shoehorned into a winger who had to track back quite a bit rather than do what you want, Joe, behind, right in the hole in the number 10 role. I don't feel he fulfilled his potential from an artistic point of view. And I'll go back to something Matt Le Tissier said, who was a wonderful, one of the best footballers I've ever seen, by the way.
Agreed.
Matt Le Tissier said when he retired, people said, do you have any regrets about moving and not moving because bigger clubs wanted him? And he said, not really. He said, when I retire, he said, there'll be a lot of players that can turn around and say, they won more things than Matt Le Tissier. He was talking about himself in the third person, but we let it go. He turned around and said, but there won't be too many that can say they're a better player than Matt Le Tissier, because he absolutely did, from an artistic point of view. If you think that footballers are artists rather than athletes, we've spoken about athletes and so on and so forth. Do you get the freedom to paint with the artistic brush? I just feel that Rio's, as wonderful as he was, Rio could have been the best defender in the world, and maybe he was for certain points, but he could have been the best. He could have been a Ballon d'Or winner, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
no, totally get it, and I totally agree with what you said when he went to United, because he seemed to, like, even at West Ham and Leeds, he'd make mistakes, but he'd learn from those mistakes. I think first time he kicked he says in his autobiography, first time he kicked the ball at West Ham, went straight off into the crowd, and everyone's like, well, this is a great ball, this great ball playing defender we've got here. But I agree, and he's it's a great shout. Right, okay, that's your back four, that's your keeper. Who are we going to have left wing then, Gonz?
It's going to be Alan Devonshire. You're making hold on. You said it was going to be different to everyone else's. You have to wait.
Okay, Dev.
I mean, what did he cost her? What today would be a bag of pasta and a toilet roll.
It would be on eBay, at the moment.
It would.
Or yeast.
Maybe. Actually, I was going to say a tub of hand gel thrown in it. No, he was less than that. It's again, we're back into that. Do you remember when we had Ben Ayoun?
Yeah.
Because people were saying Ben Ayoun is a bit like Dev, but people were also saying it about Payet as well.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean in terms of talent, but he was more Ben Ayoun than Payet.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the way he is a magician. Because of the way he would drop his shoulder and go past. For people that were maybe a generation after, Chris Waddle used to do it, that and then go the other way.
Yeah.
And he was not a winger in the traditional sense, really. Yes, he could run down the line, but at his best, when he was drifting in, he would feint to go to the left and come in. You wouldn't touch it. You're right. Had a touch of Ryan Giggs about him in that sense as well. In as much as he would cut in, such a talented player. If it was now, it would have been a bit like Payet, because you would have said probably too good for West Ham. But then, when playing amongst Trevor Brooking was such a good player, and Billy Bonds and the likes. No, not too good for West Ham at the time, but certainly good enough to go and play for anyone. And may I say as well, in an era of really good wingers and 4-4-2s, by the way. And I felt he would have held his own with anyone. And probably my first... I mentioned about Phil Parkes, about Billy Bonds and watching them, but you could watch those players and you could marvel at Billy Bonds in the warm-up, right?
Yeah.
Wow, look at him. He's like a god. The first, I think Alan Devonshire was probably the first time I was ever aware of being excited when someone was about to get the ball. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, they're giving it to the long-haired fellow with a moustache. Hold on. What's his name again, Dad?
Yeah.
And then, wow. And because you felt it, but also you felt the crowd. So we've spoken about Julian Dix able to impact the crowd. Well, Devonshire would impact the crowd probably a second before he got the ball. Start to stand up early, you'd feel the buzz of the crowd, and then he would get the ball, and it was electric. And you'd think, well, you got some trouble here.
Yeah.
You felt, as we spoke about Payet, much the same as when Payet got a free kick. When Dev got the ball, you think, oh, well, something's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting. And much as I felt a little bit sorry for Stuart Slater, we talked about the next Bobby Moore. Stuart Slater should have really been the next Alan Devonshire, but it didn't. As gifted as he was, it didn't really quite happen for him. And what a humble bloke as well. We were, before Len did his thing, when I don't live a million miles from Wokingham, and Tony Gale, Parksy, and Dev did an evening. A drunken evening. Well, they probably weren't drunk. It was probably just me and a few others, and it was brilliant. And anyone that gets a chance to go to those things, I've not done very many, but Gale, what a host, what a lovely guy Tony Gale is, by the way. What a funny man, a real funny man, a real raconteur, and the way he brought Parksy and Dev together, there was clearly a real love between all three of them. And Dev was a really nice, humble geezer. Again, he just got it, and then you always feel, and particularly more I've seen since Len's done his stuff, you very much feel very proud to have been associated there. And if you don't get a lump in your throat when you hear Alan Devonshire talking about John Lyle, then you've got a stone heart, really, because wonderful, really, really, really wonderful.
Yeah, and as you said, when obviously we interview the boys of '86 on the pitch at halftime, everyone to a man talks about Dev, and that to me is because obviously if you're the fans, yes, they'll, but for your colleagues to put you on that pedestal, there was something special about you, and that's
just absolutely
exactly.
That's why you want the that's why you don't want the journalist player of the year. You want the PFA player of the year. That's why you want to be hammer of the year rather than what you want. The players. It's your peers, as you say, to rate you and rate what you're doing. Yeah,
I totally agree. Okay, so put Dev on the left. Who are we going to go on the right wing?
I'm cheating, but I've already cheated. All the way down the right is cheating.
Yeah, lovely.
I'm going to put Dimitri Payet in there.
Yeah,
because I've mentioned all these players. Dimitri Payet is up there, and I think you've got to separate the method of departure, from the player. I've got enough lovely people in there. I've got enough people in the team who got it and knew about West Ham. For every James Collins, Bonds, and Alvin Martin, maybe there's some people who don't get it.
Yeah.
Okay, Payet didn't get it, but as a man in a place at a time for the last season at Upton Park, that was there. We had a world-class player. Yeah. We saw it all throughout. We saw it with our eyes. The stats told us we might before. It was he was the most creative player in Europe for 4 years that wasn't Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You think, stats. Yeah. Well, he was. Yeah. And you could see that. I think it was something like He left the club for 6 months, and there was some stat that over the last couple of years he was still in the top 3 for chances created in the Premier League. He ain't played in the league for 6 months. Not famous for what he did, but also the chances that he created that other people didn't quite finish off. I've moaned a lot about West Ham players not being able to take free kicks over the years, actually. And it's quite in corners and different bits and pieces. But wow, we got one.
Yeah.
We've actually got one. And so wonderfully skillful. I mean, he's one we don't have to. This is not one we have to explain to the younger generation.
Yeah.
It's all there. You even if you missed it, it's there in I'd say HD. It's there in 4K if you want to go and watch it. I recorded some of it myself, I think. So it's just such the right player at the right place at the right time.
The stars
made
aligned.
us feel, and the chant. I mentioned it before in another video. We've got Dimitri Payet. It was sung. The Aaron Cresswell song is sung with happiness.
Yeah.
Right? It's funny. The flow of the song's good. Everyone, Aaron Cresswell's magic. Everyone's still enjoying themselves, all right?
Yeah.
He left Ipswich. He's come to West Ham. Lovely jubbly. The Dimitri Payet song is very different. The Dimitri Payet song is sung with disbelief. By the way, we've got Payet. I can't quite believe it, but we've got Dimitri Payet. He might be better than Zidane.
Yeah.
You'd better watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you foul any one of our players within 30 yards of the goal, we're going to score. We've got Dimitri Payet, and it was sung with not with arrogance, but it was some songs are playful banter, some are, but this one was. It was a war cry of disbelief that we would sing to the opposition. Watch out. Well, you've had your Cantonage, you've had your Burkheads. Look, we've got someone now, and you're going to have a bit of it. Wonderful player. Yeah,
he was. And as you said, that when the Euro Championships, and he was like, one of the best players of the champion. Again, it's like, when was the last time we ever had a Ballon d'Or nominee? When did we ever have a potential player of a football tournament? It was disbelief. I totally get that. And as you said, the sort of stars aligned. Obviously you had the right. Well, for that season, you had the right. I think man management as well, potentially with Slav. Obviously, afterwards maybe not, but for that period of time, it just the stars all aligned. And I don't think there's anything more we can say about Payet. I think technically he's probably the best player I've ever seen play.
Yep.
For West Ham.
Yep, it's superb.
All right, Dimmy's in. Okay, who are we going to play in the centre mid positions then, Gons?
Okay, this was a bit of a tough one because I wanted to play somebody I really looked up to. And it's an unbalanced midfield. The easy one was Carrick for in there. Okay, for all the reasons that I said, what a wonderful glittering career, and he was really good as a youngster. And I thought, because of the person I'm going to have next to him, I need someone to sit a little bit. And I understand my midfield would get overwhelmed. I understand that if you could get the ball off them. Yeah. So I'm actually going to go with someone not a star-studded player particularly. I'm going to go with Ian Bishop. Now, Ian Bishop, we moved from Ilford when I was 13, 14. We moved down. Mailman got a job in Dorset.
Yeah.
And that was when Harry was manager of Bournemouth. So I joined my new school. A lot of my friends were Bournemouth fans. So we used to go down. And it was when Jamie was coming through. Jamie's the same age as me. Jamie was coming through at Bournemouth. Everyone was going mad in the local press about it. And Harry was manager there. So we went down and watched Bournemouth a few times. And they had this absolutely wonderful midfielder who was called Ian Bishop in the middle. And the Bournemouth, I've been lucky enough to interview Ian Bishop, one of the earliest videos we did, I think, on the channel. Yeah. And the fans all used to sing, we all agree, Bournemouth fans, we all agree that Bishop is better than Robson, meaning Brian Robson, who was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful player. Well, of course he wasn't, but you can understand why they were singing it.
Yeah.
And again, you've got this modern people who might have, they understand, because he's quite prominent on social media and because he's in the public eye a little bit.
Yeah.
Ian Bishop's, who is a lovely, lovely guy.
Yeah.
He's got this, this persona of being, a cheeky chappy, and it's easy for people to look at him now who didn't see him play. Oh, that's him, the long-haired cheeky chappy who likes to dance and all the rest of it. Maybe that's why he's popular. No, this was a really skillful long passer of the football. I hate the term. But I seem to use it. Which is, it was like a quarterback in like a playmaker. Like
no, I get you. Yeah, totally.
Range of passing was brilliant. Having spoken to him, his idol was Glenn Hoddle, and you can understand why. He I say idol, but the player he looked up to a lot was Glenn Hoddle, and you could see the game was quite similar. Was good enough to go on to better things than West Ham and Man City. City were not like they are now, obviously. No. Really cultured, and it was a good blend, I thought, with him and Moncur, who was your snarly, nasty tackler. I just always thought he was really elegant, and it sort of coincided with a time when I was when I'd come back from Dorset as well, and I was going a lot. So I think there was a certain pride. It's like if you spot a player first, right? I think we've all got that. We've all got it. We've got it in all of us, next. And I felt I'd spotted the player first because I'd seen him play down in Bournemouth. I said, I know this player. I know this guy. He's really good. And he was really good. And I really enjoyed playing players. I liked the game played as much as I like the crunching tackle of Julian Dix and all the rest of it. I like the ball play. I don't like Barcelona. I don't like Barcelona. I find their football quite boring. I don't 100 passes to score a goal is not for me.
No.
So I think if you can get the ball forward in 6 or 7 passes, then great. And I think even better if you've got a midfielder who can pass it. Carrick would pass like this. Beckham would pass like this. Jamie Redknapp would pass like this, for instance. If you've got somebody that can ping a long pass and play the winger in with that cultured Hollywood style pass, or play a real powerful pass that curls along the ground. Oh, that's delicious! What a great skill that is. And that was it. That was Ian Bishop, and he always played with his head up as well, so he always knew where the game was open around him. Cultured, wonderful player. Ian Bishop gets in the team.
Indeed, and Ian Bishop. Speaking of turning up at school and stuff like that, Bish did remember like he used to have prank shows where someone they'd put hidden cameras and he did one for my brother. With Dave Benson Phillips, remember him? He was a TV presenter, like the black TV presenter. He was sort of like kids TV. Anyway, he did a thing, like he burst into his art class and was like, "Hey!" Tom's like, my brother was like, "Oh, it's Ian Bishop," and they had to do like loads of like training, like on the pitch, and it was really cheesy. But I love Bish. That's my era, definitely. Okay, who's Bish going to partner in the midfield then?
Liam Brady.
Yep.
Of course, we knew about Liam Brady because he was going to be the guy that broke our hearts in the 1980 Cup final.
Yes.
A real cultured, wonderful player. Be interesting. I'm not just saying it because the Irish family connections, by the way. Yeah. He went on to Juventus afterwards. I think it's possibly, we didn't get him from Juventus, maybe got him from Ascoli or someone like that. But he came to West Ham, and a lot of people... I think it's not like he came here. He came here at 31, so he didn't come here at 34 or anything like that. Had he had the best years of his career, yes, but he was still a hell of a player there. And it's not like he came and played for one season. He probably played 90 odd games for West Ham, Liam Brady. And what a player! I mean, he was international class. He was absolutely the. I just looked. I remember watching him. Again, must have been a time when I was watching a lot of West Ham and going down there. So I've intermittently had periods of season tickets. So this was clearly a time, one of those times I used to watch him. I think, wow, what an absolutely class player. And it was a time when we really needed it as well. I felt at a time that we were really struggling to grab hold of a midfield. We were really struggling with we had such good players when Trevor Brooking, who's not in the team because I would felt I was cheating with Trevor, because I didn't quite realise it. I was lucky enough to interview Trevor on the last game at Upton Park. I was lucky enough to interview him at pitchside, And I told him, loads of stuff he probably didn't want to hear because I was starstruck. And he was talking to me about his career, about Tony coming through and him winding down, and Tony Cotty, sorry, and I realised, and I looked at his career. I thought, actually, I really didn't see much of Trevor Brooking at all. So then, which is not in the spirit of what you're doing, which is actually, did I technically watch Trevor Brooking play? Yes. How much could I tell you about Trevor Brooking? Well, quite a lot. But how much of that is not my information? How much of that are stories and someone else's stuff?
Yeah.
So I've left him out. But my point is, he was such a wonderful player with such immense skill. And when we talk about players like Devonshire as well, and all of these wonderful players that we had at West Ham, there's certainly been some fallow years, and I very much feel that Brady came in at the right time, and he was, you know, he was a class of player that we'd previously been used to, but didn't feel we had at the time, and a class act. And he's just in because, number one, he's brilliant, but I do remember just watching him thinking, this guy is fantastic. I could probably pick 4 or 5 other midfielders. Probably Billy Bond should be in there, probably Carrick should be in there. There's a lot of people that should be in ahead of my midfield of Ian Bishop and Liam Brady, but they were important to me.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, as you said, that's what it is. It's all about being important to you, and that's what's good. And first time Liam Brady's come up. There we go. So there we go. Very good. Okay, right. Who are we going to have up front for Gonzo 11?
Okay. I will leave the I'll leave the weird one. Okay, I'm going to say someone else that's not going to come up, by the way. That hasn't come up and probably won't come up at all. But before I do, someone else that will come up with others would be Dean Ashton.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame. I bet everyone says the same thing when they talk about Dean Ashton. It's a real shame he didn't achieve his potential, and not because he went to play under Alex Ferguson. The injury was cruel. I felt. I'm still annoyed. I talk about my brother being annoyed with Phil Parkes leaving.
Sean White Phillips.
I'm still annoyed with Sean White
Phillips. Yeah, me too.
Hopefully I don't bump into him. Actually, I won't bump into him in the shop. We've got to be 2 meters apart. And I probably wouldn't recognise him anyway, because he'd probably have a mask on. But I don't think he lives around here.
No, I don't. I think he'll be right, Cons.
Yeah. But he's probably one of the few people I'm bigger than. But anyway, it's such a shame because Dean Ashton was a wonderfully gifted player. I remember, again, I spoke about Alan Hansen. I remember a match of the day. Robin Van Persie had played really well for Arsenal, and Dean Ashton played really well for us. And he did a little segment, Alan Hansen, in Match of the Day, of just these 2 really good young strikers. And he was just, they were both, he was raving about the pair of them, basically. Yeah. Well, actually, we do have someone special here.
Yeah.
And he'd allowed, Pardew had allowed us to dream again. We have a lot of managers come and go. Bilic allowed us to dream for a while as well. Not many come in and allow you to dream. A lot of pragmatists, a lot are doing a job, a lot are doing their best, but some, he got it. He got it. Pardew, by the way, more than just a club. All the rest of it, he had the T-shirts printed up himself and all that. I don't mean he was actually doing the screen printing. I think he asked something. He asked something. Yes, absolutely. Sticking the letters on one by one. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
He got it. He understood about West Ham. I remember he first came in at his first press conference. He said, "Well, I need to learn a little bit about this club. I need to want to learn about the history and learn about." And I felt that he did, and he got it. And you thought, okay, we're going somewhere with this guy. I liked the signings he was making, both the lower league ones. He would bring a youngster through, which he wasn't a Ward. Anton, of course, I liked the way he brought through Rio Coca and from MK or whatever it was, or Wimbledon, whatever the case may be at the time, whatever club they might have been at that point. And Dean Ashton he brought in Rob Green actually as well, but Dean Ashton was, because I'd seen him at the time. I was watching some I'd watched England under 17s, under 18s, under 19s. Sky were running it for some reason, and I knew he was coming through because he'd been really good at Crewe. Then obviously Norwich signed him. We signed him from Norwich, and he could have been almost anything. That player, he really could have done exceptional technique, big enough to head the ball as well and contest, make a contest with central defenders, which was important.
Yeah.
In many respects, I think, remember Freddie Sears scoring that goal?
Yeah.
You look at Ashton in that, and you look at in that game, the role Ashton is playing, and you thought, this is
something, yeah.
This is what it should have been.
Yeah.
Because I think he was back from his injury then, but he was going to go on to break down again. And this is how it should be: a fast,
big man
striker next to him, and all the rest of it. And that really could have been it. I don't really need to go on too much about Dean Ashton because everyone knows how good he was. But I just a real shame. But I'm not damning him with faint praise or only putting him in out of sympathy.
No,
Hartson nearly got in there because he was, but actually Ashton was better.
Yeah, he was mustard. And I said to someone else when Dino's name came up, it was I remember the excitement I had reading the back of the Sun that we were signing him for like 7 million or something like that. It was a fair whack, and that's almost the same amount of excitement I have when we signed Bowen, that young, hungry championship player, and he's going to be mustard. I mean, all we've seen of Jared so far, we know he's quick and we know he's got direct, and that's what we need. And that's what we needed with Dino at that time. That's all stylish. He was incredibly skillful for a big man, as they said. Had a great feet for a big man. Right, okay, we'll put Dino in. Who's going to partner Dino up front? Titi Kamara?
No. Better than Titi. Somebody that a bit of a one-season wonder, although he was around for longer than one season. But it caught me at the right time, and I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. I love seeing him play, and it was Leroy Rossi Nia.
Yeah.
You're nodding, yeah. I'll tell you, no one else is going to say this. Everyone's going, what? No. There's 20 strikers better than Leroy Rossi Nia. There probably are, and there probably were. Teddy Sheringham was miles better than Leroy Rossi Nia. But for that season, I think he scored between 15 and 20 goals. 88, 89, something like that. He was like the best striker around, as it felt like that. I went into every game thinking he is going to score. I have never seen anyone jump so high. I probably have. It's probably in a pole vault or something in the Olympics, but I didn't fit on a football pitch. The only person that came close, I felt, was Les Ferdinand. Les Ferdinand used to have some leap on him. Bang. Yeah. Strong, quick. Could finish well for that season. He could anyway, and it just sort of highlighted a part of my time watching West Ham. When I would just look for him. I would instantly look for him. For a whole season, he seemed to trouble every central defender he came up against. Strong enough, barrel-chested, strong enough to shift them. Could out-jump people that were a lot bigger than him as well. And struck the football really, really well, and could stretch the defence. He could almost, for a season, he could almost do everything. Hold it up, run in behind, stretch it. I know how good Leroy Rossi Nia was now because I've had time to reflect, and I'm a grown man, right? Rather than a starry-eyed adolescent or whatever. But I certainly remember thinking at the time we had a top-class striker, and I think for that season we did. I just think he was a really, really good player, and it's quite funny. I've met more famous footballers than Leroy. I've certainly interviewed bigger West Ham legends than Leroy, but I would still, it was ridiculous. I think the little boy still remains in all of us. I still think if I saw Leroy, I'd probably turn around to him if I ever got to meet him and say, I loved you, mate. You were brilliant. I had the post. And it's crazy, isn't it? Ain't it crazy? Who'd jump on your wall? Leroy Rossi.
Yeah. I had Neil Ruddock for a while. So it's like, when there was someone said, the last person I had on the back of my shirt, my last one was Neil Ruddock. It was like 6, Neil Ruddock. No, it's brilliant. That's brilliant, Gonzo, and it completes a nice 11.
Thank you.
Definitely do a job, and obviously I appreciate the effort you've gone into it as well, because there's clearly been some late night thought.
I was thinking about it like last night, actually. Yes,
I can see it. Like as I was saying, so it's a bit like X Factor when they decide who's going to be in their group. You've got Polaroids of them all, probably your photographs of them all, just going, oh yeah, I'll go with him and him. Absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate it. And obviously, thank you.
It would have been so easy, honestly. It would been so easy to put Billy Bonds, Michael Carrick in the middle, stick Ray Stewart in there, and put Tony Cottee and Trevor Brooking just behind. I thought, no. Let's do. It's a worse team, but it's my team.
It's your team, and that's what it is all about. It's your team, and obviously, thank you to everyone for watching as well. It's been really great, and obviously, you know what to do: share, subscribe. Obviously, if you're not already, subscribe to Hammer's Chat because it's brilliant as well. Absolutely great daily vids from Gonzo. Moaning about coronavirus.
Just moaning, yeah.
Just moaning.
That'll put them off. You must unsubscribe if you're subscribed. Yeah.
And until next time, guys, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Goodbye.